Welcome to FCADC Studio 1900 for another edition of Mike on the Mic. I'm Mike Ross, and you're not. And I, along with our producer, David Mackley, a.k.a. Bosco, interview local movers, shakers, and policymakers about issues that matter to all of us, or at least some of us. And nothing is off limits. Hey, not everybody's interested in everything. You know that, Mark, right?
Right.
So, but we're looking forward to today's edition, because you're going to learn a lot about Habitat for Humanity today. And we have their Director of Advancement, Mark Story, who's with us today. And Mark's, and for many of us, is the face of Habitat for Humanity, very engaged in the community. And I think you will be impressed. I know you're going to be impressed by all the things that Habitat is doing across Franklin County to improve the lives of those who are oftentimes underserved. So, Mark, welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
We're happy to have you. And by the way, just as an aside, if you or your business would like to be a sponsor of the FCADC podcast, Mike on the Mic, and we reach across Franklin County and beyond.
We do, yes.
Please contact us at either at 717-263-8282, or you could email David at fcadc.com, or you could email me at mike@fcadc.com. But we're always looking for sponsors, and we've been getting very good feedback on a lot of the interviews that we've been doing, and as you find, there are lots of people doing lots of good things across Franklin County that often are woefully underpublicized. So, and with that, Mark, welcome.
Thank you.
So what? Thanks for coming in today. I mean, it wasn't quite last minute, but pretty close.
Yeah.
But let's start with the big picture regarding Habitat for Humanity, because for those who don't know, what are the roots of Habitat, both nationally and internationally? And then bring it all home. How did it get started here?
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite questions, because you can interact with us locally and also touch the globe, because Habitat's reach truly is global. So the origin story is with a man named Millard Fuller. He had this concept of affordable housing that utilized the availability of capital funds. He had been impressed, having spent some time at a farm in Americus, Georgia, where there was a collaborative housing effort of people sharing capital funds to raise the living standard of the people in that community.
When was that?
This was in the 60s, 1960s.
So it's a little ahead of the curve on the need for affordable housing.
He was. I would say
Yes.
that he was on the front end of that. The area was known as Koinonia, and it was a communal living, and they were producing homes for the low-income folks in that area. So the model was first proven in Georgia. And then most people don't realize this, but Millard and his wife, Linda, then went to Zaire, what we would now call the Congo area, but Zaire at that time.
No, I think it went from Congo to Zaire, didn't it?
Now it's Democratic Republic of Congo.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. At the time, it
Well,
was
there a
Zaire.
fight there, though.
Yeah, we better not pick a fight today, so let's keep it civil.
Yeah.
So they went to Zaire and got a tract of land and attempted to prove what we now call Habitat. They didn't call it that at that time, but prove this model of making capital funds available, people building homes with friends and neighbors, and making those units affordable in that community. That area was called Bocatola. There's actually a book written called Bocatola about that. So Millard, fresh from this experience in Georgia, then coming back from then Zaire, went to Atlanta and founded what we call Habitat for Humanity in 1976 is when we started.
That's the Jimmy Carter connection?
It's close. Carter wasn't involved at that time.
Right, but it happened in Georgia, where obviously he was governor of Georgia.
Yeah, so Jimmy would have been very knowledgeable of the work when he was president. That was his first introduction to the work, but it was his time as past president where he was the most effective. So yeah, President Carter lending his expertise in being among the people, championing causes for average Americans is what I think he would be best known for. So yeah, having a past president in your fold is a real treat. So Carter, I would say, really helped put Habitat on the map with his influence, with his connections. So, but to be clear, Carter didn't found Habitat.
Right. No, understood.
He's just our most.
But he was I mean, he was a real advocate for.
Absolutely, yeah. Our most famous volunteer would be President Carter. So the guy made it to 99. 100. That he lived that long and affected that many lives. So, but so this model of habitat was there in Georgia, and then other states, other areas in the United States discovered this concept of affordable housing with the availability of capital funds and volunteer labor, and they wanted to be affiliated. So Habitat decided to go ahead and offer the model to anyone else in the country who wanted to replicate it. Mm-hmm. So here in Franklin County, we are an affiliate of Habitat International. So they lay down guardrails for us, as I call it, basic operating principles that we can't go beyond those guardrails, that we just don't jump the tracks, essentially. Mm-hmm. But here locally, we make all of our own decisions. We're a 501c3 with a local board of directors. We follow Habitat International's guidelines, but make all of our decisions here locally. So to give you some numbers, there's about 1,000 habitats in the United States.
Okay.
And we're in 70 countries. I just looked it up last night. We're now in 70 countries, all 10 provinces of Canada. So it truly is global. Anywhere you go, there's going to be a habitat presence. So, yeah, it's neat. Locally,
go ahead.
A group of citizens formed in 1993 here in Franklin County. They had studied the model of Habitat. It didn't exist prior to that. And they banded together, brought the Articles of Incorporation to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and then presented that to Habitat International. We were recognized in 1994 as an official affiliate of Habitat International.
Was John Hellman one of the original? I know he was a promoter. I don't know if he's one of the original founders here in Franklin.
Absolutely, yes. John was on that steering committee in '93. John's name is down on our articles, and has been involved.
Who are
with
some
us
of the
since
other
then.
folks?
Harlan Bear, if you remember that name. Harlan was a builder in the area. Don and Shirley Howard, stalwart supporters of Habitat. I'm going to blank on some of the other names because a lot of them had moved on by the time that I had come around. But yeah, 12 names on that original document, including John, as you said.
That's great. What brought you to Habitat?
So I have to take you back to 2009 when we were still reading newspapers.
Get in that time capsule.
Yeah.
Backwards. Okay.
I actually had a friend here in the community saw a job to work for Habitat for Humanity in Chambersburg as executive director. He saw it in the public opinion newspaper, clipped it out like with a pair of scissors, and handed it to me and said, I think you might be really good at this. So that is my origin story. I was somewhat familiar with Habitat, having spent some time in the Lancaster community. They have a very vibrant habitat there. And the board up until then was 100% volunteer, no paid staff, and they had a vision to do more in Franklin County, but they knew it would take a paid staff person. So my title was executive director. My responsibilities were primarily community engagement, looking for the resources to advance the mission.
So tell us about where you. So that's where you started, and you've been with Habitat then since 2009?
I have a gap in there over the COVID time. Just prior to that, I was asked to lead the capital campaign for Coil-Free Library. Okay, right. So I did work for the library system to help get Coil up and running, and I'm super proud of what the community did there.
And you should be. And
thank
you for your efforts.
Legacy thing. Yeah.
Thank you for your efforts, because if you have not been to Coil-Free Library, I encourage you to go do so. Go down and you'll see it's really a community resource. And today's libraries aren't like the libraries of 50 years ago. These are really community centers serving the needs in various ways.
I got to say, thanks to Bernice Krause. She was the executive director of the library system. You talk about movers and shakers. She got it done. I have nothing but respect for her, and camaraderie and friendship. And then Dave Keller was president of the library board at that time, and took a lot of risk in doing a project like that, but we're all so proud of what got accomplished there. So anyways, I was asked to come back to Habitat when the library campaign was done.
And so you've come back, and now you're the director of advancement. And what exactly does that mean, and what's your day like?
Yeah, so I was allowed to pick my job title, and I wanted to be like director of friendship, right? Because if your title is director of fundraising or director of development, sometimes you don't even get a meeting. So I just asked for it to be director of advancement. So basically, I gather resources that are necessary to advance our mission. A lot of time spent with volunteers, businesses, certainly fundraising is a huge part of my responsibility. I also do all of our land acquisition, so looking for the lots upon which we build our habitat houses. That actually occupies a huge chunk of my time. Finding affordable building lots in Franklin County is a real challenge. I have about a 25% success rate from a time a lot would present itself as available, viable, to actually closing on that lot. So I'm always looking for building lots. So a little plug: if people see FSBOs, FSBO, for sale by owner, if you see a FSBO sign on a lot, I would like to know about that. I know it's for sale on the open market, but it takes someone to see a for sale by owner sign to make me aware.
And how would one get a hold of you?
Hitting the website would be the easiest thing. It's
Okay.
habitatfranklinpa.org. But if they just Google Habitat of Franklin County or Chambersburg, it'll pop right up. All my contact information is there. So
Great. So let's get back in the time capsule a little bit and tell us a little bit about Mark's story and where did you grow up in? Because you're not native to Franklin County, and how did life bring you to Franklin County?
yeah, it's a wonderful story. So I'm a child of the '70s. I remember Walter Cronkite reading the news. We were still painting our homes with lead paint when I was a kid. So
Hopefully you weren't
Me
eating.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Hopefully you weren't eating
Yeah.
it, but
yeah. So I grew up in Maine, in central Maine,
Okay,
which is
so this is remarkable. The number of people who are here, and in South Central Pennsylvania generally, was there like a migration out of Maine?
once
to
we
bring
realized
everything
as adults what the weather was actually like. It was a great place to be a kid, but I'm very happy to be here
So
in
you were in
Cumberland Valley.
Central Maine. What constitutes Central Maine as a community?
Yeah, Oxford County would have been the region. If you look on a map, you'll see it. Not really known for a whole lot. The industry was primarily logging, forestry. Modular homes was a huge employer there. But again, it was a great place to be a kid.
What's the closest? What town?
Bangor
Okay,
would have
well,
probably
that's
been
a
about an hour
capital.
and a half away. So yeah, exactly. Yes, good for you. So yeah. Most people don't know where Maine is.
No, we know where it is. I don't think people realize how big it is.
Yeah, Maine's a big state.
Yes, it is.
A lot of territory up there. So yeah. So anyways, all my formative years were in Maine. I grew up in the church parsonage. My dad was a pastor, and it's very, as you said, very spread out and spacious. So the church actually owned 40 acres of ground, and that was not unusual. So it was a great, almost like a paradise to be a boy, to grow up in the woods and endless activity outside. So yeah, so those were my formative years.
Do you know Ann Finucane?
Yes, I do
Oh,
know Ann
she's
Finucane.
from Maine.
Now that I did not know.
So, yep.
Another Mainer.
Wonderful connection. So
There you go.
not exactly Maine, but I'm thinking of Bill Gore from Canada, right?
Yeah,
My favorite
Close,
Canadian.
close.
So yeah.
That could be a TV show. My favorite Canadian, like my favorite Martian, my favorite Canadian.
It was just on the radio with him, WRGG. Boy, I don't know if that was this week or last week, but always a pleasure to be with those
Yep,
guys.
yep.
So yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I interrupted your
yeah,
story here.
so I decided to go to college in a foreign nation, and that foreign nation was Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Let me tell you, the boy from Maine felt very out of place amongst the Amish, but it was a great place to go to school. But that's what took me from New England to Pennsylvania.
Lancaster Bible
I
College?
did go to Lancaster Bible College. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So I was on an alternative schedule for me. As I say, I crammed a 4-year degree into 7 years. So I wanted to pay cash for it. I didn't take on any student debt, so worked full time, took classes as I could,
Okay.
and was working at a bookstore in Lancaster, and met the gal that would be my wife. She was a school teacher downtown Lancaster. And we've been married almost 30 years. And she is
Congratulations.
originally from Waynesboro, so I married a local girl.
There you go.
So there's the Waynesboro
Yes.
connection. Yeah. So my in-laws are still living and in good health in the Waynesboro community, but ultimately that's what grounded us here.
And
Franklin
and
County.
then she brought you back to Waynesboro, or how'd that work?
Yep. We came back. So part of our story is we lived internationally for some time.
Okay.
We were married, as I said, in '96, and we moved to East Africa to do a term in missions. So
Oh, wow. Where
we
in East
lived in
Africa?
Tanzania.
Okay.
We learned Kiswahili, which is of no value in Franklin County whatsoever. Nobody wants to talk to you in Kiswahili at the grocery store. So
Yeah, geez.
Well, that's because you don't know that unless you bring it up.
it's kind of a party trick. I can
Yeah.
still say a few things, but yeah. So we lived in Tanzania. We spent a lot of time in Kenya. Our first daughter was born in Kenya, so she's a full citizen of the U.S., full citizen of Kenya. So that's kind of a cool.
Yeah, it is.
Wow,
It is.
yeah.
Full citizenship.
So that was my introduction to affordable housing at the level of what was considered normal in that area, right? So while we were there, Jill and I commissioned the construction of 2 homes, actually for language school teachers. They were teaching us Kiswahili, and we saw where they were living, and we knew it could be better. So we didn't do any of the work ourselves. We just funded that work to get done. But remember, got this notion of creating safe, decent, affordable housing, which would be considered standard for that level. And actually, that was the first and only time I've ever seen President Carter. I did not meet President Carter. I don't want to stretch the story here, but it's while we were there in Tanzania that the first elected president of Tanzania, a man named Julius Nyerere, he was a contemporary with Carter. They were friends,
Okay.
both presidents at the same time. So Nyerere passed away, and Carter flew in to attend the funeral. So it was kind of neat to be there for such a big function, to see the the globe coming together to support a great leader at that time. So yeah, it's part of my Habitat story is housing there in
Yeah,
Africa.
our youngest daughter did mission work in Kenya, and has, incredible experience for it.
Yeah.
She went over, I don't know, 3 or 4 times.
I think I met her once at a function, and we should resume the conversation
Yeah, yeah.
to talk about Africa.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
She is an advocate for Kenya and the development that's taking place over there.
While we're on this point, I didn't think about this ahead of time, but part of our Habitat funding, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, but we tithe on our income, our unrestricted income here at Franklin County. We tithe 10% of that. We give that to developing countries, and Kenya is our tithe partner. So
Okay.
our tithe goes to help build homes in Kenya. We Zoom with them back and forth. We take each other into consideration. It's a really neat thing how, again, you're functioning locally, but you're touching the world globally through Habitat. So that's where that relationship has come from.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
But it all comes back to Waynesboro.
Yeah. So that brought so yeah. So you got to Waynesboro, and you didn't, and you weren't started yet with Habitat, correct, or were you?
Correct.
Oh.
When we came back from Africa, I actually went back to school as an adult learner and got a master's degree in nonprofit administration. It's like an MBA for do-gooders.
Okay.
Yeah. Literally, that's what it is. So should have just gone for the MBA.
Yeah.
So and I think you've already touched on this, but you are really your life is embedded in your faith.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us how, that obviously shaped you going to Africa,
It
and you grew up in with your pastor, your father being a pastor and the like.
Yeah.
But how does that continue to shape your life?
Yeah. So as a
Because
boy,
I know you're always good at events when we need someone
yeah.
to lead us. in
The
prayer.
token evangelical, I've been called. Seriously, like, you're the token evangelical of Franklin County.
Is Mark Story here? Everybody.
Did he pray?
Yeah.
Although we don't call it prayer. We call it the invocations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a boy, I remember clearly the gospel message resonating with my heart and my mind, and I knew that applied to me, and I responded. So my faith relationship with Christ is central to who I am. That said, I don't sense a call to work at a church, right? I want to be involved in the community. I want to be amongst people. And so I'll bring a Habitat lens to that, but also a personal lens. And I do want to talk about my dad because he made a big impression on me. So, yeah, he was the pastor.
Please.
He was the pastor of our church, but he was not content just to wait for people to come to the church for him to interact with them. So he went and got his EMT license and rode the ambulance squad with all the other volunteers. It wasn't a paid thing for him. And what I remember him saying was that he wanted to be among people when they were maybe experiencing the worst trauma of their life, right? Car accident, heart attack, whatever the case might be. He wanted to represent the faith that we have out in the community. We would call that being missional, right? Taking what we have and representing that in the community. So as a young person, that made a big impact on me, was to take the faith that we have and live it out in a loving way. So the Habitat piece is that Habitat is, we present ourselves as a Christian ministry. Our mission statement starts off with seeking to put God's love into action. We bring people together to build homes, communities, and hope. So
your father was doing this. Was he familiar at all with Habitat in Maine at all?
not whatsoever.
But that's
Nope.
remarkable.
Yep.
And that's a real calling when you're going and saying, I want to be among the people. And
Exactly.
that's good for him.
Yep.
So Is your father still living?
He's not. If you can believe, he will be deceased 40 years.
Wow.
He died in 1986. So,
Well,
but I had
a
enough.
young man.
He was a young man. He was 34 when he died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I had enough time with him. He certainly made an indelible image. So, I tell you one more quick funny story.
No, absolutely,
This is
yeah.
a generation gone by.
So,
But
how old were you? Just
I was 12 when he passed. So, yeah.
and you have brothers and
I
sisters.
have one full blood brother. He lives in Lancaster. He's just 2 years younger than me. So
Okay.
yeah, we see each other regularly, about once a month. So
Okay, so he's obviously 10.
he was 10.
And
Mhm.
that's an
Yeah,
unbelievable transition
yeah, it was.
at a point when you're just ready to enter adolescence.
Yeah, it was very sobering to deal with one's mortality, and actually to see your parents out of control of something was very sobering. It had a way of maturing you very early. That life is not easy or fair, but it was a very grounding experience, and again part of my faith journey. So
Do you have conversations with your father about life?
that-
Seriously.
I actually do still talk to him
Mm-hmm.
from time to time. Yeah, just vocalize it. He would have never met my daughters, so sometimes I'll just share a little bit. So yeah, people can think what they want about that, but
No,
yeah,
no, I think it's no, I think that's part of it. I need
Mm-hmm.
because your faith would. I mean, he's following you everywhere you're going. So yeah.
without a doubt, he made a huge impression on my life and my brother as well. So yeah, I look forward to seeing him again someday. Don't know when that'll be, but yeah, we have that to look forward to. So the humorous side, he would sometimes get an ambulance call, and these are days gone by. But my brother and I would be placed in the back of the ambulance that he was driving on his way to a call, and he would drop us off at a parishioner's house, whoever was closest to where he was headed. So I don't think we do that anymore.
Oh, yeah. See, as
As a kid, that was good stuff.
That's the difference.
Oh, man, yeah,
That's
yep.
the difference.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Come on,
Where,
get in
where-
the back.
where was your mom?
Yeah.
Where was your mom doing this?
She had a part-time job, so at any given moment, I'm not sure she actually waited tables at a local
Okay.
restaurant. So yeah,
How big was the congregation?
about 100 people.
Oh, that's
It's
not
pretty
bad.
big,
Yeah.
though,
Oh, yeah,
for,
yeah.
for rural.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
rural Maine, yeah.
yeah, very vibrant, very involved in the community. So
Is the church still there?
church is still there. Occasionally, I'll hop on the website, just follow some updates. So
Mm-hmm.
his name is still on the history section, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
They
Well, that is,
recognize
that,
it.
that's, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's come back here now. How's Habitat funded locally?
I always lead with charitable donations. That's my favorite source of income. We have 3 sources of income, but charitable donations. So it is people in our community who are invested in our mission and ministry. They willingly part with cash to advance our mission. So we're talking about regular folks, families, businesses, civic clubs, churches. Those who have traction with our mission and ministry make charitable gifts to us. So some people think that Habitat has a few very large donors. It's actually not the case. Most of the families in the area, if they participate financially, it's $50 to $500 a year. If someone writes us a check for $500, they're getting a phone call from me as a way to say thank you and advancing our mission. So regular, pure charitable giving is my favorite source of income for us. We do occasionally get some grants. But charitable incoming is what I always lead with because that's the best reflection of the values of our people. So our funding model is such where our Habitat homes are not free. So a source of income for us is actually our collection of mortgage payments on houses that we sold to local families. So that's not new income, that's capturing that income back. But when a Habitat home is done, we sell the home to the local family with an affordable mortgage structured at 30% of their income, and then they make that monthly payment back to Habitat. So charitable income is the bedrock of who we are, and then collecting those mortgage payments is income for us, and we recycle those donations.
To that point, tell us how. I mean, so what we see, the 2 things we see in the community are the houses and candidly Restore. But before we get to just the idea is you're creating affordable housing and giving families the opportunity to own a home. But how does that model work? How do you identify property? I mean, you're telling people if you're aware of a house that's for sale, especially by owner, give you a call. But you're constantly out searching for properties and you're developing. But how do you, first of all, how do you identify families who are trying to work with you, and what's their obligation and the like.
Sure. So I'll give you our program in a nutshell, or as I call it, how Habitat works.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So families.
Why don't you ask yourself questions?
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
I've been driving in the truck by myself. It's a constant conversation.
Yeah.
So I actually have a sticky pad. I write notes down because we're not allowed to text while we drive anymore. So what we do is,
Well, I don't think you're supposed to write while you're driving.
well, that has not been legislated yet. So
Okay,
I
there
can
you
still
go.
do that.
You can't, but you can actually write.
You can-
Reading it later is a challenge.
You can barely drive,
Well,
let
I'm
alone.
thinking, so. Local families, and I want to define family because we call our home buyers families, but a definition of a family can be a person of one. I'm often asked, do you have to be married to get a Habitat house? No. Do we have to have children to have a Habitat house? No, right? So we call our home buyers families because it's more of a relational transaction with them. So local families who are boxed out of traditional lending, so they will never be qualified for a regular mortgage, right? XYZ lender in the community. They will never approve these folks because they're generally low income, low to moderate income, and they have some hit, some ding on their credit that just caused them to struggle in some way. But they're hardworking people, committed to raising a family. They want to live here locally. That's where we come in. So they bring an application to us, and we have a committee that reviews their application, and we follow the HUD income guidelines. So minimum amount the family must make, a maximum cap that they can't make over that, and then we assess their willingness to partner. We call this a partnership ministry. So this is where we introduce sweat equity into the equation. So Habitat says to the family, hey, looks like you're income qualified. Are you willing to help build your own house alongside our volunteers? So that's where the partnership comes in. So our home buyers construct their own house, sweat equity, alongside of our volunteers. And then, as I've said, when the home is finished, right, final inspection, we go to the settlement table, just like all the rest of us. The family brings it down payment, and then Habitat structures the mortgage, and then that's where they make that payment back to us. We do escrow for taxes and insurance to make sure that gets paid. So you asked about property. We're looking for the same thing every other builder's looking for. Quarter acre to a half acre lot, flat, public water, public sewer. We love those lots, but we can sometimes unencumber a challenged property, whether it's got a lien on it or some weird legal issue. We have some volunteers, some professional volunteers who can help us turn what might be an unusable lot into a viable Habitat house.
But it doesn't always have to be new construction, correct?
No. So as you know, so a little FCADC spotlight here. We are about to wrap up our 61st Habitat house. It's in Waynesboro, and it's the one where you partnered with us for
Highland
acquisition.
Avenue. Yep.
Yeah, so FCADC generously granted us $40,000 towards acquisition on that home. So we will rehab existing homes. Sometimes we buy and tear down. That's actually more affordable because we can turn a lot into a good lot for a new Habitat house. But we do rehab as well.
But and when you're building or rehabbing a home, you're working with the prospective buyer.
Correct.
Who's doing the sweat equity.
Mm-hmm.
How do you partner with local contractors and so on?
Yeah, we sub the trades out. So when it comes time for putting the roof on, electrical, plumbing, we are looking for trade partners in the community, and we pay them. I want to be clear on that. Most oftentimes they'll discount in some way, cut the rate in half, donate the materials, or whatever the case might be. But we have strong relationships and connections and partnerships with local builders, and we share it around. So when it comes time to do the electric on a house, we will send that out to bid, and we move those jobs around because we're friends with everybody. We want to do business with everybody. Right. So that is how that works. But we have a strong list of subs that we work with, enjoy working with to help build our
That's great. So what's a typical timeline from if when you break ground on a new house to the families moving in? What's
9 months.
9 months?
Crank them out in 9 months. Yep. And along the way, there's about 2,000 hours of volunteer time. So from the time we break ground till they move in, that's generally what the time frame is.
So let me go back. So Habitat started here in what year?
94 is when we were officially recognized.
Okay, so we're talking, what, 30?
We just had 30th anniversary last year.
Okay, 30th anniversary, and so you're building 2 houses a year on average, based on the timeline from start and just finishing house number 61. Now and again, it could have been years where you did more than that, and years that you didn't do 2 houses, but that's pretty impressive that you're doing on average 2 houses a year.
Yeah,
every year.
that would be the average, and that's where the board of directors was in the mid 2000s. One home a year, every year, one per year. But they couldn't do more than that because they lacked the financial resources.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of the restore, which if we're headed into that
Yeah,
direction,
let's segue right into that.
Yeah,
and
I
we'll
would
come
tell you,
back.
I was-
That is great.
totally unprepared to talk about the restore
Nice.
today, but
I see that, yeah.
put on my restore hat.
We're looking for a new fridge at our
Make it-
house,
make
so
it
I
official,
check
so-
your Facebook page all the time.
Especially What's New Wednesday. We
Yes.
always do a big post on What's New Wednesday. So the restore has allowed us to go from one home per year to about 4 homes per year. That has been and is our largest source of income. So I called charitable giving my favorite source of income, but the restore is our largest source of income. So 10 years ago, we officially launched, and we are selling a donated inventory. We focus on home improvement items, so we are not in competition with area thrift stores. We don't even present ourselves as a thrift store, so we're not selling clothes or dishes. But we do sell furniture is our primary seller, about 50%. Appliances is a big seller for us. Home improvement, lighting, electrical, ceiling fans, all of that. And it is almost primarily a donated inventory. So people are giving what they no longer need or want, and it still has value in life. It comes in the back door, volunteers clean it, price it, set it out on the sales floor. And it has just grown and grown for us over the years. So can't imagine Habitat now without the restore.
So what, are you able to talk, what does the restore generate annually for you?
Our sales at the restore are annually are right around $1.5 million.
Wow.
And if you can imagine, this is stuff that our greatest competitor for donations is the dump, right? So we are selling what would have otherwise been trashed.
Right.
That is
Incredible.
yes.
It's a triple win, and those are rare in life.
An environmental win.
Absolutely.
It's
It's opened up a
quality of life win.
Yeah, affordable home improvement items for people in the community, generates funds to
Right.
produce even more Habitat homes, brand new volunteer opportunities. There's about 40 regular volunteers. They work every single week with us out there at the restore.
Are there volunteer opportunities still available?
There are. Yep. We're always cycling through new people because inevitably somebody's moved out of the area or their health changes or whatever. So I call them my blue vested friends because anyone out there is wearing a blue vest, but there are still continuing opportunities to volunteer.
So if one was interested in volunteering, again, go to your website.
Yeah,
and
the website is probably the best on-ramp for it. That seems a little cold or impersonal, but people can self-equip with the information. So what does it actually look like to be a volunteer at the restore? All that information is there, a simple application, and then you get to talk with one of us about what it actually looks like.
What about volunteering in terms of when you have a house being built? I mean, again, you're working with contract, but there's volunteer opportunities there. Because I know certain companies, when they did the project, I think it was over on Washington Street. And I know Volvo had a
Yep.
team that came down and participated.
Yep.
So what were the opportunities there?
Yep. So on the construction side, categorically, there's 2 ways to get involved. One is simply our onesies and twosies. So these are individual volunteers in the community who want to give up their time to help build with us. And so we have volunteer opportunities all throughout the week where people can come. I want to be clear, they can come every week if they want. And we have a crew of maybe 12 that do that. But we also have people who come once or twice a year. And that's okay, too. They don't have to make a forever and ever amen commitment to us. So volunteering as an individual or bring a friend and join a crew building together, that's certainly an option. And then we do a lot with businesses, as you said, also churches and civic clubs. We would call that a workday experience where a company will send a delegation of workers, 6 to 8 people, and volunteer with us for a day. And that's what you would have seen in action at Volvo. But it happens all the time. Walmart, Target.
Do you work with the school districts where kids are looking for essentially community service as part of their curriculum?
We do. I spend a lot of time, I live in the Greencastle community, so I spend a lot of time talking to the GA students about that. There are definitely age restrictions on this because we follow the OSHA guidelines. So to volunteer at the Habitat job site, minimum age is 16, and then they can't use power tools. There's still opportunities for them to be involved.
But I mean, it can be general laborers.
Oh, yeah. We definitely help satisfy the required volunteer hours for the students at the Habitat job site every year, for sure. Yep, it's good.
No, I think that's wonderful, and I think it really these students are encouraged to get engaged in the community, and as I said, it's community service projects, and that's a way to do it.
I like to say, too, we leave fear behind at the Habitat job site. I often have people say, I love your mission, and I've thought about volunteering, but I'm kind of afraid. I'm like, well, tell me what you mean. Like, why are you afraid? And here's what they say. They don't want to get hurt. I get that. They don't want to make a mistake at the house. I get that. And they don't want to look foolish. Those are the three reasons people present. And I just simply say, you got to get over that, right?
Right, yeah.
So first of all, we're never going to ask you to do something that you're uncomfortable doing. But if your heart rises, you want to be there. We teach how to do the construction at the job site. So it's safe. You're not going to make a major mistake at the house. And as far as looking foolish, well, within an hour or two, you've got a meaningful job, and then you leave with a sense of pride. So we have people that actually will come to us because they want to learn. They're DIYers, but they don't know how to do it yet. So we will teach them how to put vinyl siding on, how to lay the flooring, how to wire a light or whatever, and then they can go home and do that themselves. So
No, that's great.
Yep.
I think, so you live in the Greencastle School District. You're
do.
completing a home in Waynesboro right now, your most recent project. Tell us some of the projects that you're looking to do, and I know you have you're looking at a grand project in Hamilton Township.
Yep,
That will
that's
be game-changing.
certainly a major initiative for us. But to answer your first question, we are nearing completion of a brand new construction in Greencastle on Buchanan Trail West. If anyone knows where Lizzie's Ice Cream is,
I know exactly where it
within
is.
sight distance of Lizzie's.
By the way, that's a great place to get lunch
Oh.
or dinner or whatever. That more people need to be aware of that restaurant because it is really, it's a fun place and the food's great.
I'm going to brag on them a little bit. So we had the pleasure of hosting all three county commissioners at our Greencastle project, the Buchanan Trail project. We saved hanging all the internal doors for them. They had a good time together, mixing and mingling with some of our regular volunteers. But Mike at Lizzie's, because this was a special day for us to host the commissioners, he actually brought over a fantastic catered lunch. Didn't charge Habitat anything because he wanted to contribute what he had to the initiative as well. And that's typical of area businesses. They all have something to offer at whatever turn it might be. And so yeah, Lizzie's is good. So that project will probably wrap up in February.
Okay.
We have another project with a Waynesboro address. It's off of Ridge Road, not too far from Grove Crane from Manitowoc, a little cul-de-sac called Katy Lane. We just stood walls this past weekend. We decided to do a block foundation there. Knitterhouse Concrete donated all of the block for that. So again, just shining the spotlight on local businesses that give what they have. So. And we are about to break ground on a lot, an older development called the Bowman development on Richard Ave here in Chambersburg. So that'll give us winter work all through to next spring. So 4 active projects going on right now.
And I know one of the fun days, I'm not sure we found anything, we didn't that day anyway, was walking through Mercersburg and Fort Loudon with you, looking for sites.
That was a fun day.
It was.
Yes. Actually, the conversation is continuing. Preston Spar and I meet with some regularity.
Right.
Mercersburg Academy is still involved. I can state confidently that Mercersburg is on our radar, and we will have a project breaking in Mercersburg. So
And don't forget the impact grant.
I will
that-
not
that-
We
forget
still
the
have to
impact
use
grant.
That's great news. And again, I think it also demonstrates your reach across the county.
Yes.
Now you have to go up to like Willow Hill and look for one.
I would love to build in Fanet Metal. We have an affinity for public sewer. That sounds like a funny thing to say.
I know.
really love public sewer. Yeah, but we
I
don't.
think we all do.
Yeah, right.
I don't think we profess it publicly,
Yeah.
but we all do
Yeah.
love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't like to do septic sand mound. We have, but finding these lots again with public sewer is a challenge. So yeah.
So, but tell us about your big initiative in Hamilton Township.
Yeah, and this is where we'll touch on the impact grant
Yes.
because we
Yeah.
share that. That's what we've been holding off for. So, yeah, we are ever inching closer and closer to a large land acquisition. As you've said, Hamilton Township for a long time, actually since 2012. I remember we first discussed: could we do a development? Could we create our own building lots? And we have 25 acres under contract. Still looking to go to acquisition here in the next couple of months. But that would produce right around 70 building lots where Habitat would build about half of those homes. and we would partner with other community entities to supply the other half of the homes. So, want to shine the spotlight on Luminest.
Yep.
Yeah, Luminest is a wonderful housing provider in our
Right.
community. We share obviously a close connection there, but I like to say we serve the same people, two different paths. So Habitat is creating home ownership opportunities, primarily using volunteers to build, whereas Luminest is creating wonderful rental opportunities,
Right.
primarily using grants and contracted labor. So Luminest is one that we're looking to partner with to create some homes with us. And then regular builders in the community would be welcome to join us there. So
So can you disclose where in Hamilton Township or not?
you know where it is, but I'm not sure I'm quite ready to say exactly where it
okay.
is.
All right.
A lot of people know it's this tension between it's not quite public, but it isn't exactly private. So
Okay.
yeah. Pretty soon we'll share the exact news as soon as the all the entitlements are in hand. So
So let me this is how it goes with me. So let me digress and for the families that are buying their homes and you say you create a mortgage arrangement with them, is there forgiveness of this mortgage at any point?
yes. So here's how it works, and our listeners and watchers, you're just going to have to stick with me for a couple of minutes, and this whole thing will make sense. So, when we finish a home, and then we sell that, we sell that house to the family for less than what it's worth. That's the affordable piece, right? So there's instant equity in that. So when we sell the home, that family has just bought an asset that's worth more than what they just paid for it. So here's what we do. We record a first mortgage at the courthouse. That's the one they make the payment on. But we also have the home appraised, so we know what it's worth on the open market, what that house is actually worth. We create a second mortgage on the property for the gap, for the difference between the selling price and the appraised value. Let's use some simple, easy, made-up numbers. Let's say the home appraises at 150. I wish they were. Those days are gone, but it appraises at 150. Let's say we sold it for 100. That's the one they make a cash payment on. We created a second mortgage for that $50,000 gap. That prevents the family from just flipping the property and doing a cash grab. It also keeps the predatory lenders at bay because most of them don't want to stand third in line. So if there was equity, they may be tempted to borrow against that, so that keeps that from happening. So here's the forgiveness piece to finally answer your question. When they make a payment on their first mortgage on a monthly basis, we forgive one commensurate payment on that second mortgage. So it gets forgiven 1 month at a time as the family stays there. And then if they stay there for the terms of the mortgage, generally 30 years, we file two satisfaction pieces. So the first mortgage is satisfied, they paid it off. The second mortgage gets a forgiveness piece applied, also satisfied. So that's how that works.
No, that's great, and the fact that you do it in a way that you're preventing anybody from making money, as you said, that's
Correct.
flipping it, and with appreciation of housing, that
Yep.
was a pretty easy thing to do, or could have been a pretty easy thing to do.
And now with the passage of time, 30 years after you bought that home, it will be worth more by
Oh,
then. There's
absolutely,
market
absolutely. Yeah,
equity
yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's for them to have just like the rest of us. So.
But it's just remarkable the impact that you've had, and so how do you have families that have been since in the 1990s are still in their homes?
We do, yes.
Okay.
We have families who have made that original purchase and they're still living there now. Yeah, mortgages are paid off. We have a little plaque in the office. It simply has the family name and then the year they paid off their mortgage. So if when they make their traditional payments, if they satisfy through the normal terms, their name gets on there and we just
So if
celebrate
anybody wanted to see that plaque, where's your office at?
1502 Lincoln Way East in Chambersburg. So yeah, yep, not too far from the Restore. Yep, plaque's hanging right inside the front door.
No, that's great, Mark. I really you've always had my respect, but you had to sit and listen to your story and to the impact that you're having. So, but before we leave, so you say you see your brother, and I got the chance to meet your brother, and I think
You
your
did?
niece.
Yes, my niece was also there
yeah.
at the board cutting, the
Yeah.
Restore
Oh,
10-year. Yeah.
So, and they're doing the same thing over in Lancaster.
Yeah, they are. Lancaster and Lebanon actually merged.
Okay.
That's a new trend with habitats is to realize some synergies and efficiencies through merging. So the Lancaster Lebanon habitat is really doing a great job.
One other question I do have, and we talked about it offline a couple of weeks ago. I think. But the Restore has been incredibly successful.
Mhm.
But it's in Chambersburg, and I mean, you're doing lots of things. And I know the folks in Waynesboro, my guess is they would like to see a Restore on their end of the county as well.
Absolutely.
What's
My
the
Waynesboro friends would love to have a closer Restore experience.
Yeah.
And this is the store that I shared with you when we were just chatting. But we studied a commission of Franklin County by Habitat International before we opened our store, and to come back, where should we put the store based on their best practices? And it came back, it needs to be on Route 30 in Chambersburg. That was the number one. The number two location was Rouserville. That was where they
Yep.
said the second Restore should be. So, is it possible someday that Franklin County will continue to grow in the rate that it is, that Habitat will continue to grow, and we could have a second Restore in Franklin County in the Rouserville area? Wow, that will be a great day. So, can't promise that'll happen, but it's certainly something we've talked about. So, yep.
That's great. So, and I think, unless something drastically happens that we don't know about, we're going to continue to grow.
We are.
And those needs are going to continue to be there. And I think, because what you don't want to do is cannibalize yourself in Chambersburg by saying now we have the operational cost at two locations,
Right.
but we're not generating more than $1.5 million.
Yep.
I think the way you're going, I think you will. There will be no shortage of volunteers or donations in the Waynesboro area.
Well, this whole thing runs on generosity. So the success that we've realized is due to the generosity of this community. So giving what they have, whether that's
Is there
cash.
a Restore in Hagerstown?
There is. Yep. It's on Charles Street,
Okay,
the old Coca-Cola bottling plant. So
Okay.
their office is also right there. Their office and Restore together.
okay.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
I don't think, I know it. I wouldn't ask you where it is if I'd ever been there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Oh, I bought from the Chambersburg store a couple years ago. We bought a brand new patio set
Mhm.
in box. I think that's what people need to understand. This isn't somebody cleaning off their back patio and it's quality stuff, but this was new in the box. Had to put it together, and again, I always find it.
The new car smell.
Yeah, on your Facebook page when you post stuff, and literally within 5 minutes, people are like, "Is that still available?"
Yeah.
And there's times when who's ever doing your social media is, "No, just sold."
Yeah.
So it's like you have to be ready to move when Restore posts their new stuff.
We do have a bargain-minded community, right? I mean,
No,
I am.
no.
I'm that way.
No,
So.
I think, that's the whole point here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
So, no, I don't, there's nothing wrong with that. And you have relationships with certain retailers, Lowe's being one of
yeah,
them.
you're selling like new appliances that might be a model 2 or year old that never moved on their floor, but is still a brand new product. And
So we present ourselves as a problem solver to the area businesses in the area warehouses in particular. So we don't lead with, would you please give us stuff? We actually flip it around and say, here's how we can serve you. Because the big box stores and the warehouses oftentimes end up with items, just as you
Right.
referenced, a couple of years old. They actually don't know what to do with them, and they know they shouldn't throw them away. So that's where we come in. So we actually have, most people don't realize, we have a warehouse in Shippensburg. So the Restore rents warehouse space, and then we have trucking relationships. We're into the logistics with.
You're on the Franklin County side shipping.
We are indeed. Yes, all of our money is spent in Franklin County.
yeah, good.
Those are fighting words otherwise. So
No, that's,
so we can move inventory
Okay.
from a warehouse, get it out of there because it's generally in their way. They don't know what to do with it. So
and it all goes back to that old adage, one man's junk's another man's
Right.
treasure.
maybe we could talk about Menno Haven quickly.
Please.
Whenever they reset a unit on the Menno Haven campus, they previously, many years ago, this is not recent history, but many years ago, they didn't know what to do with like all the kitchen cabinetry, so they would just throw them out, right? Because what do you do with them? Where do you get rid of these things that they don't want them anymore? So we now have a great relationship with Menno Haven where we schedule our truck on the day where they do deconstruction, so it comes right out of the unit, right onto the back of our Restore truck. And I'm telling you, as soon as it hits the sales floor, we sell
See,
it.
now, this is something we didn't know. This is good information. Where was that like earlier in the conversation?
Yeah, I should have put that in right at the beginning.
No, that's good. That's good information. Seriously, you do the same thing. I don't know about like Quincy or what? It's
Yeah.
not called Quincy anymore.
Yep. Quincy is another one.
Yeah, okay.
Presbyterian Homes, I
Mm,
think
yeah,
is who owns
yeah.
that now. But yep, yeah. So we'll take kitchens from people. So a lot of contractors, guys that are really good at kitchen resets, they know, or a bathroom vanity, right? If that gets ripped out, they know that they can take that to us, or we will come pick it up from them.
That's another thing, yeah, and I think that listeners should be aware of that. You will pick up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have a full size box truck with a lift gate on the back. Two full time employees. That's all they do is roam the county and pick up these good saleable items. They're nice people, and we're very grateful for the ability to pick up these larger items from people.
No, that's great. That's great, Mark. I'm looking at the clock. This time has slipped by here, but thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you for what you do, and for anybody interested, go to the website. If you see Mark out and about, introduce yourself. And as I said, you're always looking for volunteers and people who want to be involved. But again, thank you for what you do, not only for Habitat, but your engagement in the community generally. You are one of the activists that make this a better place.
Yeah, well,
so thank you.
Thank you. And we're all in this together. So thank you, FCADC, for your support, not only monetary, but opportunities like this and your leadership and wisdom. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks. Okay, Bosco, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Again, if anybody, we want to thank Mark for coming in, and we like doing this. Hopefully you like listening to it, but we're learning more and more about the community every day, or every time we do one, and there's, again, lots of people doing lots of good stuff. If you want to be a sponsor of Mike on the Mic, please contact our office at 717-263-8282, or David at fcadc.com, or Mike at fcadc.com, and we're going to see you the next time.
All right. Thank you.